Americans portrayed in the media?
I would say to the best of their ability, they're generally portrayed in a negative way.
I think that they're portrayed as uneducated.
I mean, if you look at even things as popular for being progressive as something like the Tyler Perry plays, I find them to actually be rather offensive.
Like, we're all criminals, we all sell drugs.
For example, the laughter towards the sort of stereotypical behavior of the Southern families and, you know, the stereotypical meals that they eat and the way they talk and the way they argue.
We don't play basketball, we broke, just breaking the law. That's what we do.
Frankly, they just don't really know how to act in a civilized position. In most racist versions of African Americans portrayed in the media.
I think it depends. I think we have a president who is African American, and I think he's portrayed in a very respectful, well, actually, depending on the party, he's portrayed in a very respectful way.
There's always an abusive male in every relationship, and it's generally bad. And the irony is, good African Americans portrayed in the media, such as Will Smith and Bill Cosby, are frowned upon not only by the Caucasian community but by African Americans themselves as being traitors, sellouts, or Oreos, or all the terms like that.
But I think we've had the conversation about a lot of hip hop stars and a lot of athletes, and that's the norm, and that's what kids are striving to emulate. So I don't know.
I kind of think as growing up from West End and such, I kind of see there's gang violence, and I feel like you're kind of like a thug. Well, that's in my point of view, not to discriminate at all. So it's like if you were to talk about black people, they'd be like, they're doing drugs, or like they're in a gang.
They're always portrayed negative, always portrayed as that they steal, that they rob, that they're bad influence, that they live in the ghetto, that they can't. If they try to become better than themselves, that they're trying to be white.
I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix. I really do, because there are, if you pay attention to politics, the African Americans who are represented in politics are very dignified and spoken to respectfully, and they communicate in a clear and intelligent way. And you're watching, I don't know, that station that has videos with hip-hop or rap music. I think you get a whole different view of it.
How do you think some African Americans portray themselves?
I think they try really hard to break that mold.
I think there are two sides to that story. If you want to take it from the musical perspective, going into hip-hop, they portray themselves in an absolutely negative way.
As an African American, I portray myself as a king. That's where we came from, kings and queens, man.
I think if a show is scripted, that it's hard to change around exactly what the show is trying to portray.
I have African American friends. They normally think highly of themselves, they always put their education first, and because I guess their parents or whatever from their home country doesn't graduate, and they don't have food over there, and
And it's ironic that I'm referencing this. The Boondocks is a cartoon that's deemed by a lot as degenerate because of the type of language they use and the message that they seem to portray, but there's actually a deeper political aspect of it that people don't really put a lot of emphasis on, such as the idea of two kids who grew up in a poor neighborhood growing into sort of wealth and struggling with adapting to a new type of lifestyle.
But I think when they have interviews and stuff, then they portray themselves pretty poisely and they know how to act.
You know what I'm saying? That's just part of history, man. So while we here with old slaves that get no respect, but in the mind of kings, man.
do you think these negative stereotypes affect the African American community?
All day, every day.
I think it makes people think they act a certain way when in reality they don't.
I mean, it's placed a glass ceiling above us, definitely, because you can only go as far as you want to.
letting
It made a huge like impact in a way.
me. But if I go somewhere else, like the white community, they all watching me and excuse my language.
Because like it's basically saying something about a person which is not true because you don't know their side of the story.
Well, you're kind of judging a book by its cover, yeah.
Well, it makes you want to fulfill that stereotype. It makes you want to act the way that you're being portrayed.
And because of the fact that people are content with seeing drug dealers and rappers on TV, they don't feel the need to ascend any higher than where they are.
And I mean, anyone can act uneducated and foolish. That's just a product of how they were raised, not necessarily a product of what their skin color is.
And it generally just creates a cycle because if you can't make money and you're trapped in a low-income area, how are your kids going to be able to go to school? You can't afford to pay for their education.
When you start stereotyping, and that's just, you can't do that.
And it can actually like make them have this negative feeling about themselves that causes them to like downgrade it.
And so it's just an endless cycle. And there's a bigger picture to it. You know, everybody wants to put the blame on the African American community for drugs, weapons, violence. But if you really look at it, where did the drugs come from? We don't have planes or boats to transport the stuff from other countries.
I would love to see more focus on African American.
And it's just an interesting perspective to take, see how what gets filtered and what gets put on corporate America, what gets put in the media.
Yeah, definitely.
So, have you ever been racially profiled?
Yes.
No.
I'm used to it now. It used to make me feel kind of messed up. But
In smaller ways, you know, walking down the street, you see people give me looks and clutch their purses tighter, or maybe cross the street if they see me coming.
People, they already automatically know that I'm Spanish, so
I think people thought that just because I was white, like they thought I was rich and really privileged and all this other stuff.
I'm used to it now, so it's an everyday thing. It's nothing. Just know where you stay out of it and you know where to go and where not to go.
I say it drives me because my success will not only allow me and my family to prosper, but it'll allow me a chance to say, haha, look at me. So, I mean, I think stereotypes are definitely negative.
It made me feel like I was being stereotyped and that no one got to know like what kind of person I actually was.
I don't like it because how if I didn't know how to speak Spanish? Like, I don't know, people just come up to me and they already assume that they know me just because they assume that I'm Spanish.
And what kind of struggles I've actually been through because they just kind of labeled it as, oh, he's white, he has like had no problems. And that's not true.
But if anything, they should drive you further to break the mold and to have people have a different perspective. I mean, you can't always change everybody's mind, but it never hurts to try. You have to be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Do you think stereotypes are mostly true?
No.
Well, sometimes when I was younger, I used to just assume that if people said it was because it was true, but honestly, you can't just judge somebody by what people say or what they look like.
What would you tell your younger generation, your younger African American crew, like, that they're not this stereotype? Like, what words would you tell them?
Don't judge by the book by its cover. It's more like to get to know the person well before you judge.
I would tell them to keep their head up, man, and there's nothing they can't do. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of where we come from, you can always come up out of it and shine.